Yes, we told you that the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Comrade Ini Ememobong, will be here today, and here he is. My name is Comfort Umana, and together, me, you, there, will be talking with the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Comrade Ini Ememobong. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, man. Glad to be here.
So how do you feel entering this place for the first time?
Wow. I didn't know this something of this magnitude was happening here. It's a pleasant surprise, and I think it's one of Akwa Ibom's best kept secrets.
Who kept the secret? You or I?
No, you.
No, you. Okay, Honourable Commissioner, let me start this way in a lighter mode. You are a mobilizer, and as a lawyer, you are an advocate, and as a unionist that I knew you are an advocate. But you still decide to keep the name Comrade even while in government. Are you comfortable doing that?
Yes, I am, because that's who I am. The title just represents my inner person. I'm not a title person. That's why I never use barrister. His Royal Majesty, the Paramount Ruler of Ibom, had invited me to take a chieftaincy. I ran away from it. He converted it into an award, and but somehow they still call me the Etiward by Ibom. And so if I wasn't bearing comrade, I would be bearing brother. It's a leveler. Life is a leveler. At birth, we are all equal. In death, we'll all be equal.
Yes, Honourable Commissioner. Let me start with the completion agenda. When it was announced, people were excited and hopeful. Then came COVID-19, and the hope is somehow, will there still be, the completion agenda continue as planned?
Of course. COVID-19 is just a punctuation, and that punctuation is a half punctuation. It's like a comma, it's not a full stop. And therefore, even with COVID-19, we still achieve the things we needed to achieve. Set targets were met in some areas. For example, during COVID-19, 2 airplanes still arrived. During COVID-19, we got the approval and gazetting of the Liberty Free Trade oil and gas free zone. During COVID-19, we still had the approval of the Ibom Deep Sea Port. Yesterday in ESCO, we sat over and reviewed a lot of things, and we are sending the bill to the House of Assembly anytime from now for the Ibom Industrial City. So yes, COVID-19 may have affected the things that needed physical touch in the completion agenda, like road construction, infrastructure, but it didn't affect the things that needed push. His Excellency the Governor and his cabinet with the House of Assembly will still push it as much as they can. So I can tell you that the completion agenda is on course.
Yeah, you there listening to us, don't forget that you are part and parcel of this program, because this is an opportunity for you to interact with the Commissioner face to face, or you are not seeing him, okay, but we are listening to him. So be ready, dial 0904 222 1015 to speak with the Commissioner direct from RFM 101.5 Abak. Yes, Honourable Commissioner, one of the flagship program of His Excellency, the Intelligent Building. Do you have tenants now?
The building is 85% completed. The entire structure has been done. But because His Excellency is very concerned about international safety standards, so what we are doing now is test running floor by floor the firefighting capacity of the building. Now, tenants have indicated interest. Many floors have been identified as a point of interest by different tenants. But of course, until you conclude it and the dotted lines are signed, you may not be able to call them tenants. So we can call them people who have indicated interest. We have a lot of people. Of the 21 floors, many of the floors have had people indicate interest in them.
You want to whet our appetite by telling us something?
Before other landlords go to grab them with some of us, let's leave. Even President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, was there the other time. And the NNPC has indicated interest. Some oil and gas companies operating within the jurisdiction of Akwa have indicated interest. Even the Obasanjo Library, has indicated interest.
Thank you very much, Honourable Commissioner. We are still hopeful. Power for all by the year 2021. And 2021 is here with us. Will it still be visible?
Yeah, absolutely. The push for power for all 2021 is first to have all the villages hooked up to the national grid, is to have increased offtake, because what we do now, we currently have enough pumping supply. We are generating sufficiently, but the off-taking capacity, which is why His Excellency is interfacing and engaging with the PHEDC and other relevant power stakeholders to ensure that we can offtake, and also appealing to power users, energy users, to pay their power rates, so that it's business. And His Excellency has invested a lot in power, and you know that no industry can work without power. So which is why you see the investments in power sector. When you look at what we have in Ikon, you look at what we have in Fawobe. The airport now runs on public power. Ibom hotels and golf resorts now runs on public. A lot of public utility, which previously did not run on public power, now run on public power. So Power for All 2021 is something that will happen. It's a target we are racing very consciously towards, away from power, which is the focus for this year, to ensure that by December 2021 we can all have power. The focus also is for education. A state of emergency has been declared in the education sector in Akwa Ibom State, and the focus just yesterday in ESCO, His Excellency directed the immediate commencement of fencing of all schools in Uyo. That's the starting point, but it will stretch to schools everywhere. That is done to ensure the security of infrastructure, education infrastructure, because we've discovered that communities and some people get into the schools and vandalize property. So when we fence around, we put a gate. If whoever comes into a school, it means have to jump the fence, and whoever jumps the fence is not going there to do a good thing, because the thief comes only to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So that's why we want to protect education infrastructure. Additionally, His Excellency has also directed that water provision facility be made in all schools, starting with schools with a population of 1,000 and above. These are critical steps being taken to ensure that education, which is the focus for 2021, remains the focus. So an interministerial infrastructure provision, which would have to be in classroom blocks and the like, are 90% channeled to education. So education is the focus, power is the focus, and health, because of COVID and the like, would also remain in focus for the year starting tomorrow.
Yes, one of the things that the State Executive Council took decision on yesterday was the issue of housing scheme.
Yeah.
Yes. Who will live in this house? For the high, the low?
No, it's for low-income earners. It's for civil servants, young startups, people who are just starting out with life. It's a very cheap housing scheme, which is why His Excellency, Chairman in Council, immediately gave approval for the Commissioner for Housing to immediately interface with the relevant agencies, like to get involved with the social housing scheme and make provisions for that.
If it's going to be on owner-occupying basis of it, and so you've mentioned that some people that are not civil servants, so how will you get the money from them?
The structure will be arranged. It's a scheme, and the financial structure will be announced. So whoever can make, in every scheme, there are people who can do a quick off-taking. There are people who can do outright buying, and there are people who can do plans. And while the people building, while the financial institutions prefer civil servants, is because of the security of their funding. But there are also other people. For example, if people work in oil companies, or if someone is assuming a counselor, some financial institutions can say, okay, well, we are at least certain that you won't get recalled in the period. And so, but when the financial statements and preparations are ready, the people who can and who meet up those criteria will, of course, take benefit of them.
And the likely host community?
Let's keep that on our wraps. Yes.
Okay, because when you mentioned that councillors, I was getting jittery because you take our councillors out from their own locality.
No. That's not the idea. The truth in the matter is that councillors around that area may choose to live there, but it doesn't affect, because if it comes to Abak, for example, assuming it stays between Uyo and Abak, you can now find councillors doing that as an investment, so that they can rent it out. They necessarily must not dwell there, because the best thing is for people to live within their jurisdiction, but people can do investments outside their jurisdiction.
Honourable Commissioner, you are here in Abak, and there is something that is worrying the people of this area, and indeed the Abak 5. And that is since the construction of the flyover at Ikoroku-Ikono roundabout, the only road that is linking this local government with the state capital, that is the Ibom Road, has been in a very bad shape. So you are here. Has government forgotten about that place? Or when you finish the flyover, are you going to do it? What's the government mind about that road?
Yeah, that question came to His Excellency the Governor, I think, a week or two ago, and his answer was clear. He said that as soon as the flyover is completed, the comprehensive repair work on the Abak-Ibom Road will be ongoing. Now, why the road has collapsed to the extent it has is because roads are created and constructed for different purposes, and therefore the traffic that this road has experienced, it was never contemplated at the point of the construction of that road. I used that road as I came here, and I've seen that remedial work was done on that road to make sure that it is passable. But the rains came and also messed it up a little bit more. But we trust that with the speed of construction, immediately Julius Berger resumes from their end of year break, with the speed of construction that will go there as soon as that is done. But people who don't also know, that's not the only road that leads to Abak. There is another diversion from a coming man. No, from Ikoroku-Ikono, that's not from Ikoroku-Ikono, crossing behind the Asani Bibio and leading back to the main Abak Road. And that's the last time I passed there, which was a week ago. That road has also been made passable for people. It's just a small detour. It leads you back to the old Abak Road. So people also ought to know, because, for example, if you're going to Itinan, or even if you're going to the teaching hospital, there's no need using Ibom Road when you could just do a bypass there and you are at the teaching hospital. But there is no way we can make omelette without breaking egg. It's the sacrifice that Abak people have had to make, and we thank them. We thank them for their understanding, but we can assure that the Ibom Road will be constructed back to a very solid state that people can use.
Yeah, Honourable Commissioner, before we take the phones from listeners, I want to ask you this one before we go on break. Government was accused of closing the Guarantee Trust Bank. Is that correct? Why did government have to do that, considering that Akwa Ibom people are putting their little money there?
Guarantee Trust Bank where?
Uyo.
I don't know, except it has to do with the FIRS. But the state government does not regulate banks. If it has to do with the FIRS, there's something called payee, which the different taxes that workers pay go to different places. There are taxes that relate with where you live and work. Because, for example, if those workers live and work in Akwa Ibom State, they make use of facilities in Akwa Ibom State. So there's a percentage of their tax that must come to the state where they are resident. Now, but the tax is paid centrally, is deducted at source by the employer. And when it's deducted at source, it's expected that there must be remittance. Now, so if they do not remit to the state government, then the state government has the right to engage with them. So, but you also know that there's online banking. So the bank is no longer a physical location. The bank now exists on your phone. The bank exists on your ATM card and all of that. But I trust that the bank involved will also interface with the relevant state government. And it's not just that. For example, in state government-to-government relations, And it's not just banks. Even if the University of Uyo, we've had to engage with them on that. Other federal institutions that are here. Immediately your staff are residents here. It's just like your staff here. As you deduct their pay, you must remit to the state government. So now the question, if you've been deducting, where's the money? And no staff has said that his or her money has not been deducted. So if you deduct pay, you should remit. We need the money. Just that we need the money.
You need the money.
We need it.
Well, government needs the money just as the people need the government to give them roads and other infrastructure. We'll
Absolutely.
go on break at this time. You're still listening to Close Up on RFM. Thank you, Honourable Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Comrade, I would have said Mr. Comrade Ini Ememobong. Yeah, we'll start taking calls from members of the public, but while waiting for the first call, we were told that there will be one sports academy per federal constituency. How far is it still visible?
Yeah, absolutely. The sports academy, as proposed, are ongoing. The one in Uyo was completed and it was used for the school sports festival. Did absolutely well. The one in the Eket Federal Constituency is ongoing. Like His Excellency has said, everything that is critical to the completion agenda, every project that's critical to the completion agenda will be completed. Absolutely so.
Okay, I will take the first call.
Hello.
Hello. You're welcome to RFM.
Yeah, good morning, RFM.
Yeah, your
Good
name.
morning.
Yeah, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Move a bit from your radio set.
I'm not around my radio set.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, RFM station.
Good morning.
Good morning, Honourable Commissioner Ini Ememobong.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Akwa, Ibom, Mike. I am
Please go
Congrade.
straight to your question.
I'm going to the from this morning. Please, I want to ask the Honourable Commissioner about the issue of gratuity to retired preschool teachers. I can recover when during the election time, these people, those elderly people, go out of mass under the sun, trying to make sure that our dear governor has returned back to the seat and show God be the glory, he has done that. Now, I want to ask, what is the position about the retirees, the retired teachers, and that of the next of kin? These things have been trailing over the state, and people are dying, they are suffering with their impact. They have joined their advice with the governor.
Yeah, that's for you, Honourable Commissioner.
Yeah, the issue of the gratuity of retired primary school teachers and the benefits of their next of kin has been an issue that has lingered for long, and it has also attracted the sympathy of His Excellency the Governor. But the first thing we must say before we even go to any other thing is the fact that we must draw the attention of every single individual to the fact that the local government system is another tier of government, not directly under the control of His Excellency the Governor. I'll try to make some explanation so that people can understand. What the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs does is to ensure harmonization, is to ensure smooth running of the local government system. You know, Section 7 of the Constitution says that the local government shall democratically exist, and States House of Assembly, the state shall ensure that they do so. Now, so what the state does through the House of Assembly is to make laws for the smooth running. Now, if we decentralize the local government system completely, every local government will have to have a local government service commission that will be able to employ what it can pay. Meaning that Abak local government will have to have Abak local government service commission that will determine the number of teachers Abak needs, the number of nurses Abak needs, and the number of facilities and the people it needs. Now, that is not what it's so. So we're running a unified local government system, because when it is time for employment into the local government system, irrespective of the number of primary schools that Abak local government has, Abak would be taking the same quota with Eastern Obolo, with Ikono, and with other local government areas. Now, but remember that across the state, all the local governments do not have the same number of schools. So what that means is that if you do not have a unified system where the salaries of primary school teachers, NOLGE staff, and nurses are taken at source, you are going to have sometimes what used to happen in your local government, the big local government areas, where you're going to have them running at a minus allocation. So to that extent, to ensure that all staff, and at some point they were owing salaries. You hear some local governments owing 6 months, some owing 9 months. What we have now is the fact that no single local government is being owed. Now, so the local government is a distinct system. What the governor does is because the local governments make the state. So the governor intervenes when the pressure is much. But now, the local government they go to Federal Allocation Accounts Committee, just like the state goes. As we speak now, the federal government is directly deducting money over the construction of primary healthcare centers. And that has nothing to do with the state government. As state government goes to FAC, that's the same way local governments go. So when they come and sit in JAC, what they do in JAC is to cooperate to be sure that salaries can be paid. Therefore, gratuity of local government staff is a function of the local government system. Now, if things were running as they should run, because when you look at it, check, you see the gratuities predate this administration. So there were people who were local government chairmen at that point. Now the question is, if you were local government chairman, and people sitting here, we can predict how many people will retire in this year. So if we have sufficient planning, and some of the painful thing is that some of these monies were owed when the local government system was rich. Some monies owed when we had excess crude accounts, when we had a lot of cash available at that point. So what happened at that point? Okay, so without laying blame, but the issue is when people make this request about His Excellency's intervention, they should understand that they are seeking an intervention. They are not seeking, you cannot lay the blame on His Excellency's table, because that is a different arm of government. It is a different tier of government, rather. And the local government chairmen are absolutely in charge. But now the question is, do they currently have enough resources to pay this? The answer is no, because the resources coming to states and local government, even that going to the federal government, you have heard what the federal government has said, that it cannot pay some agencies of the federal government. I don't know if you can ask and find out whether federal government staff have received their December salary. Akwa State government had long paid. So now the issue is this: the resources of states, and at this point, resources of local government, resources of state, resources of the country, at this point has dwindled because of COVID-19. When we run a mono economy, totally and absolutely dependent on oil. And you know, if you followed oil politics, you've discovered that OPEC is beginning to regulate. And so the price of oil, the benchmark that the Constitution set for oil in 2019, in 2020 fell flat. It fell below, way below what it projected. So to that extent, the country is almost broke. So while we sympathize, my mother is a retiree. So it's not as if we are speaking from the abstract. We feel the pain, we understand. We're only appealing that first, it is an intervention sought from the governor. It is not his responsibility, because the responsibility lies flat with the local government system. But now we're also appealing that the local government system doesn't have sufficient funding as we speak. It is nobody's fault. It's not the president's fault. It's not the governor's fault. It is what is available that is shared on the basis of agreed parameters. So to that extent, we only appeal. We continue to appeal. Ibom, Ibom, yare, eso manage. Yes, yeah, baby, manage keso. But the truth is that even if the person asking the question were to be in government today, you will be faced with what we are saying, and there will be absolutely very little what you can do. But we trust that, like His Excellency came in and cleared backlog 10 years of NOLGE entitlements, and the NOLGE people were excited. He has come in, he's pushing the frontiers and the parameters. The other day I was speaking with the Commissioner for Local Government Chieftaincy Affairs, and he told me that there are some entitlements that were not paid since 1989. And I'm like, what? He said 1989. And so His Excellency the Governor is pushing the Ministry of Local Government to see how to bridge this gap. So when people push the blame on him. Yes, government is a continuum. You take over assets and liability, agreed, but there are things you must know. You must know are core responsibilities and the ones that are intervention. So we are appealing for understanding.
Let me add this as a follow-up to that question. Given this problem, given the situation, would you, even though your government advocates local government autonomy, let them manage their own way, the things the way they deem fit?
But we must, local government, absolute local government autonomy, it has its merits and its demerits. But the people, you see, my advocacy, my personal advocacy would be, before you advocate for full local government autonomy, understand what the merits and demerits will be. So that when you start the local government autonomy, you do not run back. Now, big sister, let me remind you. Remember, there was the time that mission schools were taken over by government. And those mission schools became excellent. You know, things were happening. The missionaries said, no, we want our school back. We want our hospitals back. Government handed over mission schools and hospitals to them. It's a different story. Some of the missionaries are now saying, come and take back. Come and take back. I don't want to mention it. So even the community, they said, oh, when the missionaries were in charge of the school, there was discipline, there was this government has, but the government handed back those missionary schools and hospitals. Now, the hospitals are asking government, oh, support us. We are providing services for the community. They say, look, it is either you're a government hospital or you're a privately owned hospital. They say, no, we belong to the mission, but we are serving the community. Government doesn't understand that. You are either a government-owned and run facility where they deploy their staff. Because, for example, government cannot, this is a private station, government cannot deploy their staff to a private station, for example. No, so we need to demarcate. So before people advocate for full autonomy of the local government system, let me break it down. What it will mean will be that Abak, I'll use Abak for example. Abak local government must have its local government service commission. That local government service commission must now determine the people that Abak can employ and pay. What that means is that the people currently in the employ of Abak local government, because what we do now is, for example, if you're a local government staff, you can be posted to Eastern Obolo, you can be posted to Ibom, you can be posted everywhere. But no, what will happen will be that Abak local government service commission will have to sit and determine your employment, determine if they can pay you monthly, and determine the number. Now the question is, check the resources coming. Can they do that?
Okay, let's take another call here. Okay, we are yet to have a call, and we have a question here from our Facebook page. Honourable Commissioner and those listening to us, you can visit this program on our website and listen to our internet live stream at www.redemptionfm.com. You can also send a message using news@redemption.com. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Pale. So,
hello?
Yes, you are on.
Okay, I'm on to RFM.
Yes, this is RFM.
Yes. Okay, my name is Dr. Kaid. I'm calling from Uyo.
Dr.
Commissioner, thank you for coming on air.
Thank you very much.
I've listened to your explanation very well concerning the local government gratuity. I am also affected because my late dad died almost more than 10 years ago, and up to today we have not received the gratuity.
Wow.
He was a local government staff.
Wow.
Your explanation shows that there is no hope. And even that there is no hope that this money will be paid.
No, that's not what I said. I clearly,
okay.
I needed to do a demarcation between a responsibility and an intervention. That's the first thing I said. But I now said that His Excellency the Governor is even your colleague. His father and mother were primary school teachers and they died. So the day it is paid, he will also be a beneficiary. So when you have the governor as your colleague, he's also feeling the pain. So that what I'm saying is that at the point we are with the current economic situation that we are, I am not certain that we can pay that as we speak. His Excellency the Governor would be glad to intervene. Gladly, he would intervene. But he can only intervene when resources are available. And at this point, as we speak now, the resources of the country, the totality of the Federation, the resources of the Federation are slim. And we are asking for just a little patience. That as things turn out right, of course, the Honourable Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Honourable Frank Ekwe, is very concerned about these issues. And currently, as we speak, the Joint Government Labour Committee is discussing comprehensively all labor-related issues, and these issues are on the front burner. And we are looking at ways, at that committee headed by the Chief of Staff, Ifemia, they are looking at ways and manner where all of these complaints can be comprehensively handled. So there is hope.
Yes, and in the State Executive Council, issue of the... well, let's take this call before we talk about the Ibom Deep Sea Port.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, my Honourable Commissioner.
Morning, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please, my name is Godslove. I'm calling here from Abak.
Go ahead.
Okay. This moment. Hello, Honourable Commissioner.
He's listening to you.
God's love, we are with you. Show us man's love plus God's love.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Happy Christmas.
Yeah, Happy New Year in advance, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, sir, I'm a dealer on phone and accessories. Hello?
I'm with you.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, I got here since June. Then since I recovered, I have not been able to start my business again. Please, I need your support, sir.
Wow. Okay. There's something called, the federal government is doing, I think it's called a survival fund. You need to look at those things. Since you already are into business, there are business support grants, both state and federal, for businesses, especially during the COVID-19 period. So I think you need to look at those institutional frameworks that will be able to help revitalize your business. Then there's also the SSA on small and medium enterprises. That office also coordinates a lot of support, structured financial support for businesses. So I think if you visit any of those, you'll be fine.
Honourable Commissioner, we have received, that the state government has received approval for Ibom Deep Sea Port. Could you advise our people how to prepare and take advantage before other people come from every other place all over the world and take advantage?
It was Abraham Lincoln who said, I'll learn, prepare, and wait. Someday my time would come. Unfortunately, the time has come. Many people did not learn and prepare. So, but the waiting period usually was a problem. But now that the time has come, Ibom Deep Sea Port is here. Everyone, no matter what your area of expertise is, should try to find out how your expertise will be needed in the maritime sector. Because what has just happened, immediately the port construction starts. From the first day, the contractors set their foot there, people are going to be doing stuff. So if your skills in welding, skills in underwater welding, skills in construction, and you know to work in that environment, you need safety certificate. So despite the vocation you have, just get a safety certificate and add to it. Find out how you will be useful in Ibom Deep Sea Port. Begin to prepare for it. After a while, even me, every day I'll be driving to Ibom Deep Sea Port to that area to go and check, as a PR practitioner, as a lawyer. There are clients that will be hanging around there because contracts will be entered into a contract. Yeah, I wouldn't. I got my laptop, forget that. Go on, you understand? Because that is where it is headed. That is where business is. PR experts in RFM and IKM office around that area. Because the people will not have the time and energy to come to you. You have to find an office there. Because advert information, they would need information. We need to send it. Can you? So they won't come here. Go there, but more. So what are we saying? Well, construction, masons, everything you're doing currently, ask yourself, how will this tie into Ibom Deep Sea Port? There'll be construction. There'll be a lot of metal work ongoing there. There'll be a lot of fabrication ongoing there. There'll be a lot of health and safety professional recruitments that will be ongoing there. Say, bo health and safety training certificate HSC1 HSC2 dian kese kama because I could say be benidi ido se bawo
sa fa man on jot ko mo sen ke ko yiro je
se ke so jemele
sen ke no commissioner ari den ne go ka kari kom bakara se me ke mino iri on na ko ko ade a jot an ko ke e to joro nye furum ko ari den ne go ro kom bakara ise me nya kara na muto mon dede na no muri ro jire di on
ijo iden tere ba den as go di on se u ka tang u siapo no wo e come collect e well something ana so ko jeme to no na no kara pe ku ko are jut ne afang ne gwo ana pe ki ko makara den tere na so ko je afu da di ku ta mi den tere de fu bo mpo de 2000 fana ko tere 100,000 bo 100,000 no fi 2000 ana so ko ana amyanga na panna ase na newu na so ko jeme to na wu join ani di ko ntere ki ru wajit mbiri ki ru wajit di on ta ko makara to eso ko tang na tanguna anye gwang bon makara mfugre ma kana ni ko makareta iko makari de ke usko bona bon Philippines se tang ko makara fo we de nche ta tang so na so je metugutu no so pa na abieke fi go bo di on sign po ade on se ana so ko de tugutu po awi di bo ke sign ko fo no gwi fe ana ko po so di on ida de dem ufang with the pogo motie no so ka ke na metutu idi ka be so na mutu gwi fe de ade akofo.
Yeah, Honourable Commissioner, thank you for that explanation. We have a question here from Anaja Danjuma Tijani from our Facebook page. The question is the state government aware of the nuisance blocking road in the evening from 5:30 p.m. before Unuyo Junction to collect money from buses and keke in the name of revenue without issuing tickets, or do AKI arrest authorities? Ari yongrom bodem modi.
Ete atimpanye ni do. Ejawe. Eti make about tikere kono. About tikere kum. The Honourable Commissioner for Transport will have that report immediately. But I know that the state government had banned issues of tickets in the wake of COVID-19. But I'll transfer that information straight to the Commissioner for Transport, Honourable Uno.
And this one from Etisco Emmanuel. Why is our governor or government not working to open the science park?
My God. The science park was reopened. The Chinese firm had showed interest. Invited China. But you see, coronavirus, it opened when? Late last year. By the time I came with the corona, you see, corona started, I think, in November. China, I'm also going to take an idea in board, a moon body. But by March, I'm at me. So even the Chinese couldn't travel. I might travel for Chinese New Year. But so more can young. So corona me and in my Chinese technology, I thought we get in Chinese, the Indian technology run the software and hardware industry as we speak today. Even Apple phone, don't make it, come say with me, made in China. So they said, I get it before Corona, young man, and say, China didn't have a friend boy now. Even Apple phone in Nangame, a Kamake, at the middle an American brand, but a China, so Chinese and Indian technology, Asian technology run around the IT space. So you back so and in my relationship here more. I'm might take over Blue Sea technology. It is equal China body them. If I might Chinese language school, so I am again give one so that so Corona as soon as global travel I don't go fully open. Yeah, I say now vaccine so I don't know na me so ko me global ways that I ko nkeke even very woni so ko na bi do ya ga be ben yem body me sa me woni so e ma ko mi afre we kan ma ne e fa ko gbogi so e furo na ma do fre we di fa gbo ira am so e ma fa ko ya afre we furo na ma the science park will come back
ma government kwa ibo mo jira ra ben ko mi ko mo go me bi ben di dag
young comedy vaccine about under under the exclusive legislative list. So federal government, the federal government must accept and must also determine. For example, the UK government has accepted the Oxford vaccine and has also directed its rollout. So you now have two brands of vaccine now. You have the Pfizer and you have the Oxford. So the federal government must determine, are we going for one or are we going for both of them? And immediately they do so. I can assure you that His Excellency the Governor would make sure immediately that vaccine, in fact, he has started asking questions about the vaccine, and he sits over the meeting of COVID-19 management committee. He sits personally and gets briefed. So immediately the preservation, the cold chain requirements for the preservation of this vaccine, minus 60 degrees. So you also need specialized refrigerators. If not, because if you take it out of that condition, it becomes useless. So, but His Excellency is on top of it. Amas ventilators, it don't make me making any kit. You may need 18.
Yeah, we have this question again from our Facebook page, and the questioner is Iborodov. The question is, what is the state government saying about the just concluded federal teacher scheme?
Not federal, I don't. So state everybody. The fact that we have a teacher deficit is clearly obvious, and which is why His Excellency has directed the recruitment of 1,000 teachers. And very soon we're going to announce the modalities that will be used in the recruitment of those 1,000 teachers. So immediate teacher deficits are the national melee, and we are pushing towards it, because with education in the focus, student-teacher ratio must be reduced to a point where at least the teacher teaching can memorize the faces of people. There's no pavilion, GST class. GST over 2,500 students. Even that teacher be more than we so. Teacher must work with Bembo. Now, the student-teacher ratio must be limited to a point where the teacher can interface with the students.
Commissioner, we have another call here before we call it a day.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, my name is Mfoniso.
Mfoniso, please go straight to your question.
Yeah, you know Mfoniso for fight to Agana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, I'm calling from you.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Happy Christmas.
Same to you. Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, Dr. Kavariswa.
I think on your son on boy you me. About you and
It's okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm funny, so let's move on. So, what is the basic or biggest question, problem, not the question, the biggest problem of this government for the past 5 years?
Biggest problem? Wow. Young Caesar.
Bendy.
The biggest problem is resources. Because His Excellency is a mastermind in the management of human physical resources. And when you have a shortage of it, he gets constrained. If you give that gentleman $1 trillion, you will be shocked at the investment he will bring. Look at even with the lean resources, Ibom Air is a national example. I hear some states now want to do it too. But when we wanted to do it, people said it wasn't going to be successful. But today, Ibom Air defines the national airspace. And before you know, we're going to start regional flights. So, resources has been a problem. And the fact that if it's about opposition, there would always be opposition in life. Opposition hasn't been much of a problem. It's just resources. He needs a lot of resources to be able to translate his ideas into reality. But I would rather want to talk about the strongest point of this administration is the fact that God has been with us. And the strongest part, again, from the human angle is the fact that we have had men of God and citizens pray for His Excellency the Governor and support him spiritually. You see, there are people who have committed their lives to praying heaven down and praying answers to prayers. Without those prayers, the things we have done, look, many years after, people will remember this year that it was in the year of coronavirus we had Ibom deep seaport that would change the economic fortunes of the state company. Look, by the time this deep seaport gets 30% operational, you issue vacancy for civil service and people won't apply. Because the jobs, what you're looking for, what people call security, pension. When someone is earning times 20 of your monthly salary, he starts now to plan for his own pension. And there are pension fund administrators where he can contribute his money while working.
Commissioner Secretary alcohol.
Well, at time seeking we jam at the phone. Come put off yourself for pay the civil servant. So therefore, my don't people protect pocket. The characteristic of a civil servant is the characteristic of a person who is not very materialistic. Is the person who wants the general benefit of everyone. Look, in the United Kingdom, the United States, in California, there are civil servants, despite the fact that just outside their door, so much money is happening. There are people whose disposition, whose mental disposition, whose psychological disposition, they are prepared to be civil servants. They are prepared to look out for others. It's just like teachers. You do it, I'm teacher, I won't ye me, I would do okay, manamo. I'm an I say, Bob and the tongue, I'm a man to even know teachers, and go them aba. So, the Aba would do teacher because I could be named ye fulfillment from other teacher. Ye would do teacher because they will get teacher, you have fun, or would do teacher because they will go to the So you're going to find the real people who love the civil service, because the civil service is not created for the maximization of profit. No, the civil service is created for the protection of state interest. You're not going to have people who are interested. So I can application form for civil service. So that this one in the next this way, in my middle motor, in my form, civil servant, business, a civil servant would a party would, which is why for those benefits. It must me down to car loan, and it must me down to housing loan. You know, I don't body them, I don't contented, you don't with your return on a car business so that greedy do stimulating your business to go so war, add the tax, take away civil servant. Don't worry.
Yes, sir. While we're talking with the Commissioner for Information and Strategy on the program Close Up on RFM, a program that bridged the gap between the personality and the people. I've been here on the microphone, Comfort Umana, and the Honourable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Comrade Ini Ememobong. We are happy. Aru bofin sin ke ufok utum usan mok no kwai bom ne monsi kukup ito nang pono fo ngoke fo me daram Redemption FM 101.5 Abak sa sesong na ngakiri
are nam good de go iko to
ano na bo na ngari